and welcome back to the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're making supper. I'm going to try and make this one a short and sweet one. I know the last one was slightly longer, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about boundaries and onboarding and offboarding to avoid taking too much responsibility for your clients. So this week, I want to talk about freelance ADHD time hacks, but although they are designed for my ADHD brain, I think they're things that will benefit a lot of people. I've touched on a couple of them before, but I think they're a good reminder, especially this time of year where everything is very busy and it feels like time is slipping away and everybody's talking about finishing the year and finishing big and all this kind of thing. And that's terrifying. But I wanted to share 3 tips with you. So the first one is, and this is kind of a twist on, if you follow any kind of decluttering, tidying, organizing people, you might have heard of the phrase, don't put it down, put it away, which is where I'm so guilty of this. Like if say you go in the kitchen with your plate from your lunch, instead of putting it down on the side to deal with later, you put it straight in the dishwasher. This is kind of a twist on this, which is, I need to find a better way of describing this, but essentially, when you have a task, decide straight away what you need to action and when. So to give you a more thorough idea of that. So I've mentioned Sunsample before, which is a tool that I use. I love it because I can see all my emails coming in. I can then drag those emails into my to-do list. They get archived from my Gmail and they turn into tasks. And then I can put those tasks into my calendar. But the reason that's kind of like, don't put it down, put it away, is instead of me reading the email and being like, oh, I need to deal with it at some point, it becomes just an unfinished thought. Whereas if I read the email, pull out what the task is, and then dump it in my calendar, I don't have to make that decision again. That decision is already decided, allocated the time when I need to do it, and it will get done. So it's kind of about whenever you see anything, make the decision then and put it in your calendar when you're going to do it. And then you don't have to also then keep it in your brain, dealing with your executive functioning and everything like that. You don't have to retain that information because it's there for future you. You've allocated the time for future you to deal with it. And when you come to it, all the information is there in your calendar. So instead of don't put it down, put it away, it's don't read and leave, read and schedule. That's a terrible. If you come up with a better way of doing that, I know there's a lot of wordsmiths who are listening. Please do let me know because I need to find a better way of describing that. Okay, so that's the first one. Second one is don't allow too much time to do things. I mentioned this earlier in the year and lots of people came back and went, oh my God, this is a game changer. And it's so simple. I'm still working through book edits and I've got another project to do with one of the certificates I'm working towards. If I allow myself all day tomorrow to do that, I will start procrastinating from 9 a.m. I won't probably start working on it until half an hour before the school run because I've allowed myself way too much time. If I give myself an hour tomorrow morning to do it, I'm much more likely to achieve more in that 1 hour than if I'd allocated a whole day. But quite often we allow ourselves too much time. It does depend how your brain works. If you are the kind of person that is always late to things, you might find that you're maybe not allowing enough time. I'm the kind of person that will always try and be 15 minutes early for everything because I always assume I'm going to be late for everything. I would rather wait outside in the car. So for me, I know I can't allow too much time. So this does depend on how your brain works. But I still stand by the idea that allowing yourself an entire day to do something doesn't work. I think you need to allow yourself smaller time limits. And as an example, I was recently writing a big to-do list of all the things I had to do around the house because it really needed a cleaning and a tidy. And I thought, this will take me most of the day. And then my husband called down and went, my dad's going to be around in half an hour. I did that most of that list, 90% of that list in half an hour, which proves that I could do it. But sometimes allowing too much time is unnecessary. So if you think you're going to allow yourself a whole day to do something, I would suggest halving that time, see how you get on. And the final thing is probably something you've heard a lot, but I think it needs as a good reminder. Body doubling and accountability is everything. If you're struggling to get something done, so I am struggling a bit with the book editing process because it doesn't work for my brain. It's not how my brain works. I'm not great at rereading things now, going over things and finding mistakes and all that kind of thing. So I've booked a body doubling session with Gail, who I do. She's book doubling on Instagram, who I've been doing the book with the whole time. So I've allocated that time. It's not sitting on my head going, when am I going to find time to edit it? I've already booked in my calendar, which goes back to my first point about allocating the time. And I know I'm book doubling with her. So I've got the accountability. We even do it where I share the screen so she can see what I'm working on and I don't go off and get distracted by anything. Sometimes you need to do that. So if you're really struggling with something, have a look at accountability or body doubling, which is where you're working alongside another person, but you're not necessarily doing the same thing. But it's just the act of them being there. For some people as well, that could be listening to a podcast or calling somebody up. That's more active things rather than a concentrated thing like this. But yes, body doubling for me, if nothing else works, that works. So hopefully that was useful and you might be able to take something away from that. I would love to know if you've got any clever little time hacks that make you make the most of your time. And I hope you have a wonderful freelance week.